Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, June 9th, 2016, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, over there in Asia, whoop, everything was down. Over there in Europe, boop, everything was down. Here in the States, it was down a lot, but only down a little. But down. Oil, even oil's down. Hey, but gold is up. That's right. Go back to your trend alert. Trend alert. You know the reasons why. As Trends Journal subscribers, you're on top of the trends and ahead of the news. History before it happens. We're very confident with what's going on here with the gold markets. They cannot raise rates. There's a global slowdown. Why is everything down around the world? Let's start over there in Asia. Bank of Korea unexpectedly cuts rates as inflation stays soft. All this baloney about inflation. They made up this 2% inflation number. They didn't teach you that in Economics 101, and I have a master's degree. They didn't teach me that either. It's a lot of crap. The reason we have deflation is there's oversupply of product and not enough demand, and it's a global slowdown. But anyway, they lowered interest rates unexpectedly, and that didn't even boost the markets up. They lowered them by 25 basis points to a record low of 1.25%. Just 4 out of 23 analysts surveyed by Reuters had forecast they would lower rates in June. What else? Well, good news over there in Japan. Core machinery orders fell more than expected. It's always more than expected or less than expected anyway, raising concerns about business investment. While data from China on Wednesday showed that exports in May fell sharply, as we did report yesterday. This comes the day after the World Bank cut its 2016 global growth forecast to 2.4% from 2.9% estimate in January. That's 5 months ago. How can they get away with this stuff? They're always cutting their forecasts. I get something wrong. Oh, Celente got it wrong again. These cats between the IMF, the World Bank, they're always cutting forecasts. Did you ever read where they're going to raise the forecast? Did you ever hear that one? No, because you know what it would be?
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
That's right. They're not raising it. The reason is there's a global slowdown, all right? And also, folks, it's not a myth. Nor am I peddling fiction, as the chief fiction writer in American history, who lied his way into office, Barack Obama would say, from us folks that say the economy is on a downturn. Again, go back to your trend alert, it's all there, and of course in your trends journals. Negative rates stir mutiny with bank threat to put cash in vaults. Major story in the Financial Times. Commerce Bank waives storage for deposit. Japanese group threatens to quit debt club. The ECB and the Bank of Japan have for months imposed negative rates for holding bank deposits in a bid to push lenders to deploy their cash in a real economy through more aggressive lending to business. German banks say this cost them $248 million. Negative rates have hammered share prices of banks. Check it out. Japan's Topic Banks Index is down 28% this year, and the Euro Stoxx Banks Index down 21% lower this year. It's not working. It's a failure. This Japan's bank that threatens bond club revolt. Japan's biggest financial group is threatening to quit the 22-member club of primary dealers of sovereign debt in protest at the central bank's move into negative rates. Now Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi UFI, is proposing to become the first institution to surrender its membership of the Club of Japanese Government Bond Primary Dealers. A severe embarrassment to the Bank of Japan. What embarrassment? They don't get embarrassed. They fail all the time, and no one calls them out because prostitutes never do. They get paid to put out what they want them to put out, and they never go after them. South Africa edges toward recession after bleak data. South Africa's economy shrank sharply in the first 3 months of the year, raising the risk of recession in Africa's most industrialized nation. It's also been hit by droughts. 1.2% contraction in the first quarter. It's a global slowdown. This 2% inflation thing is a total myth. You can see again, too much supply, not enough demand, lowering prices. But for we, the little people, it costs us more to live as they raise our taxes, as it costs more to rent, to buy, for medical costs, and for virtually everything else. ECB buying hits corporate yields. The ECB bought bonds from telecommunications, insurance, and utility companies, pushing yields down in these sectors. According to people familiar with the matter, the purchases kick-started a multi-billion euro program of corporate bond purchases by the European Central Bank. You ready? In attempts to stoke inflation and lower financial costs across the Eurozone. They don't quit with this inflation.
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
That's right. They're making it up. Just like they're making up negative interest rates, zero interest rate policy, and buying bonds from corporations. Many analysts and investors also are uncomfortable with the idea of a central bank making decisions about which private companies get funds. The ECB hasn't said how much corporate debt it will buy. The estimates run between 5 billion and 10 billion euros a month. So now, let's put this together. The central bank buying private debt from private corporations. This Draghi, isn't he Italian? Yeah. He ran the European division of the Goldman Sachs gang. Hey, Draghi, one of our paisanos. Maybe you like him because I see things in common with you and him. Your buddy, Mussolini, called the merger of state and corporate powers fascism. And that's what's going on here, folks. Fascism in front of your face, and they're afraid to call a spade a spade. Moving on. Oh, Draghi. ECB's Draghi warns of lasting damage from weak output. A too slow return of output to potential is far from innocuous, Draghi said in a speech today. On the contrary, it has lasting economic consequences, since it could ultimately lead to potential being eroded as well. For the ECB, this means that we do not let inflation undershoot its objective. Undershoot this. Enough of your crap. Nothing the central banks have done has proven to produce jobs, income growth. The only thing it's done is rob we the little people as you steal our dough, give it to the big guys, and the facts speak for themselves, Draghi, because you never do, like Obama, right here in the States, folks, where he says, and he's bragging about economic growth, and it's a myth, quote, that's his last line, that he said that anybody says it's not here, 2 days before the terrible job numbers came out, of only 38,000 jobs being produced. The fact is, 1% got 95% of the wealth. And worldwide, 62 cats got more dough than half the world's population put together. So save your arrogant baloney, Draghi, or maybe it's Mortadella. I want to be respectful. How could you make this stuff up? Everything they've done has failed. And that's why we're bullish on gold. The collapse is coming. They keep propping it up with a lot of lines, a lot of lies, and new deals that screw us and enrich already the very rich. The euro area faces a twin policy challenge to get more firms in each sector to the productivity frontier and to get more labor and capital to those productive firms. Now, it faces three policy problems. You're the third, the biggest one, and the central banks have destroyed the world, whether it's China, Japan, EU, or US, or in a country near you. And here's a country near you that's not doing well. Wonder why oil prices are down today. Well, we think it's peaked. And again, it's only been a lack of supply because of what happened up in Canada, and now they're talking about that going back online. What's going on in Venezuela, the wars in Libya, and of course, Nigeria. Nigeria crisis worsens as airlines suspend flights. All right? That's how bad it is. In the largest country, population in Africa, largest oil producer. Again, this is global. That's why, again, we're bullish. China's buyers eye Germany. Chinese companies are on course to set record investment levels in Germany this year, fueling concern about the country losing hold of its most innovative and technologically advanced companies. This is written by the Wall Street Journal. And just by mid-May, Chinese investors had offered the equivalent of $9.1 billion for German companies, well beyond the record $2.6 billion of 2014, according to DealLogic. They're buying Germany companies at a rate of roughly one a week, according to DealLogic. Hey, history before it happens? Well, let's go back a couple of years ago. Here we go. Your Trends Journal. Take a look at that. China boomtowns. They're buying up the world as America keeps spending its money, murdering people, going to war, in the military-industrial complex. Think I'm kidding? Here we go, just some brief ones. U.S. and Beijing offer competing positions on the South China Sea. What right do we have to tell China what they should do in the South China Sea? Oh, we're protecting freedom of navigation. Oh, yeah, you put navigation for freedom and democracy. Just changed words, huh? Isn't it great we have a peaceful president? Yeah, you remember the anti-war president. That's right. China jets intercept American spy plane. Second one. Chinese jet fighter conducted an unsafe intercept on a U.S. spy plane in international airspace over the East China Sea. Oh, yeah. And just remember, folks, if a Chinese spy plane was near out the coast of Virginia over there, or someplace down there in Florida, everything would be hunky-dory. Americans would love it. They wouldn't intercept it. They'd probably shoot it down and say it was in the 12-mile limit. Pentagon flexes muscle with carrier move. Aboard the USS Harry S. Truman, this 20-story tall aircraft carrier, 5,000 men, made an unplanned diversion from the Gulf to the eastern Mediterranean last week. A quick pivot intended to send a clear message to Russia. Aboard the USS Harry Truman, huh? Oh, yeah. That's right. Bring the prostitutes on board, and they'll repeat your propaganda just the way you want it told. Maritime spat brews as U.S. and China talk. Washington and Beijing draw battle lines over South China Sea. NATO's European states to lift defense spending. Putin says Romania, Poland may now be in Russia's crosshairs because, as you well know, the United States has put up missile defense systems in Romania, going to put them in Poland because we've got to stop them Iranians from bombing Europe and taking over. And before you know it, ISIS is going to be building ISIS missiles. So we got to put them there. Yeah. More and more war talk. U.S. increases anti-terrorism exercises with African forces. One after another. And on the home front, folks, President Obama came out and he said, quote, "I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold office as Hillary Clinton." Yeah, what qualifications she has. Boop! A war hawk in the White House. One out, one in. One out, one in. That's the routine. Yep, you read her speech last week when she was speaking in California about how America cannot leave a vacuum around the world and has to fill it with the military. And of course, Bernie Sanders came out and he said he vows to work with Clinton. Well, there you go. I look forward to meeting with Clinton, he said, in the near future to see how we can work together to defeat Donald Trump and create a government which represents all of us and not just the 1%. Yeah, all of us. As Hillary wears her $12,500 jacket made by Armani. Nah, she's not one of the 1%, because you know what Bernie is, as I kept saying. Bye-bye, Bernie, because it's been nothing but...
Warning, warning, bullshit alert.
Once again, they bullshit in and they bullshit out. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.